So how can the government find the political will to do the right thing? Well, to start with, what is the right thing to do? The former Akwa Ibom State Governor, Godswill Akpabio, thinks one of the solutions to the problem would be a review of the revenue allocation formula and what he calls the unbundling of the federal government.
There are still a lot of things that we feel can help us to have better governance in Nigeria. For instance, we need to unbundle the weight on the federal government. The federal government has taken on a lot, and the result is duplication of efforts. So you see, in the area of primary school education, federal government should not have interest in that. But and then even these things that you call MDG and the rest of them, you see where you have a minister and then you have 17 parastatals, like Ministry of Science and Technology. You have 17 parastatals. You have Director General in charge of Energy Commission. You have Raw Materials and Researches. You have this, you have that, you have that. So by the time you look at 17 parastatals and 17 Directors General, who are almost like ministers, you know, so then the federal government has taken on too many things, like all these so-called federal roads, and they can't even maintain them. And most of them are in deplorable conditions. I had to intervene in over 218 kilometers of federal roads. And right now, as I speak with you, we have no access to Aba. We have no access to Umahia. I have started the dualization from Uyo. So it's a terrible situation. We must unbundle the federal government. We must reduce the weight on the federal government and give more responsibilities to states. And that also means that we must also find a way to readjust or rejig the revenue formula so that the federal government does not take too much money, and then the states that things ought to be done, you know, receive little or nothing and end up becoming salary-paying centers instead of centers of development. And so those are the things we must tell ourselves. And of course, it will also make the federal government less attractive. That's why I'm very happy that somebody like President Buhari is coming, because he's somebody that I believe strongly. He's not coming to make money. He's coming to make a name for himself. He had always wanted to give good governance to Nigeria. So both political parties, APC, PDP, we look forward to the next administration so that we can collectively reduce the weight. We can unbundle the federal level.
Some say part of the problem is that the states are too dependent on the handout from the federal government and are not doing enough to generate their own revenue. The only state in the federation which generates internally more revenue than it gets from the federal government is Lagos State. Governor Oshiomhole and former Katsina State Governor Ibrahim Shehu Shema, however, say that with IGR, states have challenges that need to be considered.
Oh, you know, in every major nation of the world, the real source of income for each country, the real source is taxation. That I can tell you. More than 70% of most major nations of the world, income comes from taxation, not from oil. So managed properly, the tax structure in Nigeria can be able to generate much more income than what we see. Lagos has just demonstrated that example. In Katsina, the story is a bit different. Lagos has so many industries to tax on. Lagos has so many programs and projects that can bring in income easily, especially the existing commercial, being the commercial hub center of Nigeria. So you cannot compare Lagos with any location. Maybe probably Kano will come next. But Katsina is essentially an agrarian and civil service state. So that's why our income can nowhere be compared to that. But now as we are gingering and encouraging the economy towards commerce and industry, that is the platform upon which we can build it.
The fashionable thing in town is to say governors don't know what to do. That is not true. Wait, I'm going to speak to that. You see, because of our history, some part of the country have witnessed more development. Some had attracted the location of industry much more than others. And tax and revenue is a function of income. You don't tax what does not exist. For example, you want to tax pay as you earn. Only those who are in the formal employment. If I have 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 textile plants in Edo State, employ 10, 20,000 workers, they will pay tax to Edo State government. That's what you call internally generated revenue. If, on the other hand, no factory is located in Edo State, no factory will employ anybody, and therefore there's nobody to tax. Now, some states are more fortunate than others in this regard. But however, this is not a defense of all states. I believe many states can do a lot more looking inward than they are doing. There's no question. And my opinion here is informed by what I found when I arrived at the state. We had internally generated revenue of about 280 million naira a month by 2008, November, when I got here. But I also said, we have to look inward. We can't depend on Abuja. We had to interrogate our revenue, collective points, and various subheads, and I was shocked to find that nobody was paying taxes in Edo State. Even the few that were paying about maybe 20% of what they are supposed to pay. So we decided not only to collect in full what is due, but also to try and identify possible other sources of generating revenue. And I think the result of this modest effort was that other 2 years, we improved our revenue generation from about 285 million naira a month to 2.1 billion naira a month by 2010, 2011. But it was a tough fight because you need political will when the tax authorities close down on someone that is powerful and is known to you. Typically in this country, the rich do not want to pay tax.
Cost of governance is clearly a drain on resources. President Muhammadu Buhari and some state governors have taken the symbolic step of reducing their salaries. How much impact will that have? What do you think is the way out? I would like to know what you think. Please tweet me your thoughts.